Hey everyone, it is tea time with the diva. Grab your tea, grab your coffee, because we're going to get into it. This tea time is about the founders of OneTaste. They called it, the prosecutors called it, orgasm cult. Okay, they were found guilty. Listen, the Southern District of New York is busy. Okay, busy. They were found guilty of grooming employees to have relations with clients. Okay, finally, some of these clients came out and spoke up about it. But also, I didn't know there was a Netflix documentary about these founders. You know what? Let's go ahead and get right into this story. This story I'm bringing up because it's interesting in a different way. It's very similar to the Diddy situation. It is interesting to me how, people end up in situations and they don't know how to get out. They don't know how to say no. Let's take a look at this.
We have a pleasure deficit disorder in this country. There is a cure, and that cure is orgasm.
That's Nicole Daedone, the founder of the sexual wellness company OneTaste, which taught the practice of orgasmic meditation, a partnered experience which involves manual female genital stimulation that the company said would help members achieve enlightenment.
The viewers watching who may are learning about you and OneTaste for the first time, and they hear orgasmic meditation, and they think it just sounds wild to them. What do you say to your critics?
Well, I would say it sounded wild to me, too. I mean, come on, it sounds crazy. But there was something that said, no, really do. Just try it. This is for me. It can't hurt. And so, everything is in the dark, under the covers. You don't talk about it. Well, what would happen if we actually talked about these things with transparency and openness?
Over 13 years, Daedone built OneTaste into a $12 million business with thousands of members, even endorsements from celebrities like Gwyneth Paltrow and Khloé Kardashian. But last year, New York prosecutors charged Daedone and a OneTaste executive with 1 count each of forced labor conspiracy. Daedone sat down with Top Story in an exclusive interview ahead of her trial this January, where she faces up to 20 years behind bars if convicted.
What do you say to the charge against you?
Oh, it's not true. It's definitely not true. And I want to go to court because I want all of this transparent. I want it to be exposed.
But the indictment alleges Daedone preyed on individuals who had been victims of previous trauma, forced OneTaste members into debt by opening lines of credit to finance courses, subjected them to constant surveillance, had them sleep in communal homes and share beds, groomed members to engage in sexual acts with investors and clients, and encouraged them to allegedly limit contact with people outside of the organization.
Okay, I'm going to just say it. It's a boilerplate indictment. We were rooted 100% in consent. If I talk to you about the practice, from the very moment that I would say to you, would you like to own? You can say yes or no. No is a perfectly acceptable answer. It's all based in consent. We had an ethics committee. This is the antithesis of what this company was.
According to Dr. Nicole Prause, who studies sexual psychophysiology at UCLA, there are health benefits to orgasmic meditation.
People who do this practice report feeling better, more positive emotions, and fewer negative emotions. People also seem to feel closer to the person that they're interacting with, kind of regardless of their relationship history. So if you're worried about a loneliness epidemic or people who may feel isolated, this could be a way to address that kind of issue.
Daedone's attorney, Jennifer Bonjean, who has represented some of the most high-profile celebrity cases in recent years, from R. Kelly, Bill Cosby to Harvey Weinstein, says her client...
Now, I just got to pause here for a minute. If my lawyer represented Bill Cosby, who went to jail, R. Kelly, who's still in jail, Harvey Weinstein, who's doing another trial, but he's in jail, I think I'm going to find myself another lawyer, because the track record to me means that I'm probably going to be found guilty with this lawyer representing me and going to jail. Now, listen, it's not that I don't know this woman. I don't even know this founder, because, you're good for saying, oh, you want this woman to be free. No, I don't want the woman to be free. I'm just saying in terms of me picking a lawyer, I wouldn't have picked her. This particular individual who she had another founder too. There's OneTaste. This is wild. But listen, I can already tell you, she and her partner were found guilty. But let's continue to listen.
It was simply swept up in the Me Too movement.
I do not think anyone would be interested in what Nicole's life practice was, what OneTaste was doing without the Me Too movement. That's my personal view on it. And I think it was driven by media coverage that was not fair, that was not vetted, that was salacious, that was designed to rile people up.
Much of my work was about exactly what happened in the Me Too movement. There's nothing I want more than women to know how to give consent, to know how to say no, to know how to say yes, to know what her desire is, to know what the bottom line is, to know how to get up and walk out of a room.
Bonjean also blames the 2022 Netflix documentary Orgasm Inc. about Daedone, which interviewed former OneTaste members who said that they were subjected to a toxic environment, even brainwashed.
People were getting hurt. People were getting hurt badly.
Ex-members would describe something that might look at and think like, oh, you were being told to have sex with a customer in the hopes that that would pay money to the company.
People were psychologically brutal with each other.
Make no mistake about it. Without the tabloid sensational coverage, there would be no indictment. I will stand on that.
You have been called a sex cult leader. You've been compared to Keith Raniere.
The most honest thing I can say is it makes sense to me on the one hand. And what I mean by that is we do not have a culture that understands women's power, women's relationship to sexuality, women owning their desire. There's a whole series of things where we were triggering. And so in a sense, I understand it. And because of that, I trust that, not to sound cliche, but that justice will prevail.
The Eastern District of New York declined to comment.
Are you prepared to potentially serve jail time?
I don't know that you can necessarily prepare. I do know that I have the inner strength, resilience, and most importantly, what I have is a conviction of purpose.
The jury, meanwhile, likely to hear from Nicole in her own words.
Will you testify?
For sure. Absolutely.
Khloé Melas joins us now in studio. So, Khloé, something interesting about all of this is that Nicole Daedone, who you spoke to, sold this company in 2017, but now it's rebranded and operating again?
So it's now called the Institute of Om. And although Nicole Daedone says that she doesn't actually run the day-to-day of this business because she sold it, she's still practicing and she's still lecturing for the company. I also want to point out that this trial in January is not just going to have Nicole, it's going to have that executive that's also been charged with the exact same thing, which is conspiracy to commit forced labor. And her name is Rachel Cherwitz. So they will be facing trial together in just a couple of months. And Cherwitz has denied all of the accusations against her. And I also want to point out that Netflix documentary, Orgasm Inc. Well, Nicole is actually suing Netflix, and that's been ongoing since that documentary came out. And we've reached out to Netflix for comment, and we haven't yet heard back.
Khloé Melas, the big exclusive tonight. Khloé, we thank you for that.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated.
Oh, this is loaded. Let me share screen again. So founders of OneTaste Orgasm Co. guilty of grooming employees to have sex with clients. They're finished. The glamorous leaders of the alleged orgasm cult OneTaste were found guilty Monday of grooming their wellness company members to have sex with clients and investors. OneTaste founder Nicole Daedone, 57, and her former head of sales, Rachel Cherwitz, 44, stood trial for 4 weeks in Brooklyn federal court as prosecutors argued the pair waged a decade-long campaign of coercion and SA. 9 former OneTaste employees testified about this company's cult-like atmosphere, where Daedone and Cherwitz manipulated them into performing a slew of SA acts. Okay, these 9 victims provided labor and services for what spanned more than a decade, from minimal services to S acts, said Assistant U.S. Attorney Nina Gupta in closing statements last week. Daedone and Cherwitz face up to 20 years behind bars after jurors convicted them on a conspiracy to commit forced labor charge following 12 and a half hours of deliberations over 2 days. The verdict seals a fall from grace for the company's founders, who promoted so-called orgasmic meditation involving group pleasuring sessions and had been endorsed by Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop website. People are crazy. But the glitzy Libertine facade came crashing down after a series of exposés, including a Netflix documentary revealing accusations that workers were engaged to flirt and even have sex with potential clients. The feds eventually accused Daedone and Cherwitz of running their business like a cult, recruiting people who suffered past trauma by claiming they could fix their sexual suffering. Cherwitz enlisted one employee, our victim, to reenact the incident before a crowd for a taboo cause, performing oral S on a partner while being told "I love you," as her real person that Arta had, prosecutor says. The purported goal, Gupta said, was to move from revulsion to turn on. OneTaste also indoctrined employees using terms like muggles from the Harry Potter series from Fourth Dimension, OneTaste being the fourth dimension, to establish an us versus them attitude, prosecutors argue. Daedone herself even called the company a S cult, okay, during its early days, according to prosecutors. The company's native founded OneTaste in San Francisco in 2004 as a wellness company promoting female empowerment, which controversially offered orgasmic meditation for women. While it grew to have locations in New York, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and Denver, prosecutor says the cheeky startup had a dark side. Behind the scenes, Nicole Daedone and Rachel Cherwitz directed young women to perform S services on VPs and potential clients, Gupta said. The deprived duo recruited vulnerable victims of past trauma to join their rings, forcing them into S work and other unpaid labor and leaving them to rack up debt, the Fed said. The peer lawyers argued that the prosecutors persuaded OneTaste members into discovering their victimhood in hindsight, when at the time they were eager participants. The government tried to shock you about sex, orgasm, forced conduct, but not a single witness came to report a crime. Not one filed a police report, argued Cecilia Cohen, defense attorney for Cherwitz, during closing arguments. No one called the FBI. No one called to say they were forced into having sex or labor. But jurors eventually saw otherwise. The jury verdicts has unmatched Daedone and Cherwitz for who they truly are, grifters who preyed on vulnerable victims, says Brooklyn U.S. Attorney Joseph Nocella Jr. By making empty promises of sexual empowerment and wellness, only to manipulate them into performing labor and services for the defendant's benefit. Attorneys for Daedone and Cherwitz vowed to fight the verdict, saying they were deeply disappointed in the decision. We maintain our clients' innocence and look forward to continuing the fight on appeal, said Cohen and Michael Robati of Baylor, SPA LLP, in a joint statement with Jennifer Bogine of the Bogine Law Group. This case raised numerous novel and complex legal issues that will require review by the Second Circuit. We find inspiration in our clients, Nicole and Rachel, who have shown incredible strength throughout this entire process. Listen, you know, this case, when I saw this, I wanted to bring this to the forefront to my platform to pretty much say it kind of is in a different way, similar to the Diddy situation. But in this case, it's not like, you know, the two who started this particular company. Let me move up here. It's not like they, you know, had the same riches as Diddy, and it's not like they were promising people a career, but they was promising them freedom of their past trauma. You know, predators are monsters and they're everywhere, and they look, you know, they have no face, really, so to speak. They could be anybody. They could literally be anybody. Listen, everybody, chat with me in the comments, and when I get an opportunity, I will chat back. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that every time I upload a video, you will be notified. If you are a subscriber, welcome back. Everybody, thanks for watching. One, let me know, did you know about this story? This is the first time of me hearing about it. I didn't even realize that this, you know, documentary was on Netflix. Do you think that the jury got it right? And do you think that they should be sentenced up to 20 years in prison for preying on vulnerable people? Thanks for watching. Hit the like button. I'll see you on the next video.